How does this image make you feel? Do you feel cold, scared, alone, frightened? Well, let's talk about it. Hey, so lately I've been thinking about times where mangaka have drawn other mangaka's work. Now, things like this usually happen because of art trades or art books celebrating anniversaries of series or just celebrating mangaka's work in general. But sometimes they're just for fun, and that's always interesting. In the case of the thing we opened with, the Oda drawing Goku, that was a special anniversary issue of Jump wherein the cover featured other mangaka drawing their characters with other characters, and of course, smack dab on the front was that lovely photo of Luffy and Goku, or should I say Luffy and Luffy in Goku cosplay. It has obviously sparked a lot of discussion ever since it came out. I remember the day that dropped, and that was about the only thing that was being talked about on the internet, is how that face looked. But did you know, Oda has drawn Dragon Ball several times to much better degrees. The first of which was an illustration he did a very long time ago. This was a sort of fan art tribute towards Toriyama. This illustration was released in the pretty famous, well-known interview between the two of them that was done for the first Color Walk. And it features, you know, a Goku that also looks really Luffy-like, but it's not... See, this is expression-based. That's the difference here. His expression is more neutral, we'll say, whereas the Goku that is drawn on the Shonen Jump cover, that is just a Luffy face. That's like his smile. Even though you have them side by side, Luffy's got the open, or Luffy's got the teethy smile and Goku's got the more open smile. Sure, that's different. But it's those eyes, man. Those are Luffy's eyes. You can't shake it. It's just, that's what it is. On the topic of Oda drawing eyes, he has also drawn Yamcha. This was for a Dragon Ball art book, sort of celebration thing. And that also features very Luffy-like eyes, but, you know, to Oda's credit, that is a much better illustration overall. Same with the previous one I talked about. It is a nice composition. You can very clearly see that he's trying to do something that evokes Dragon Ball. And that's the kind of stuff I really like about mangaka drawing other series, is whenever they try to capture the heart and vibe of another creator's work. So that's the main thing we're going to be talking about today. And another perfect example of this is actually right here with Oda's third time drawing Dragon Ball. And this was much more recently. This was part of a very long ongoing project where Shueisha got a bunch of mangaka to redraw every single Dragon Ball manga cover. And of course, Oda got to draw the final cover. And unfortunately, this illustration did come after Toriyama had passed, so it's unknown if you really got to see this. But it makes the illustration hit a lot harder, I can definitely tell you that. It's really beautiful. You know, you can argue about the face, but the eyes this time he finally nailed. And that's what I really love about this one. He got those Toriyama-shaped eyes. Finally. They're very small. This is the smallest he's ever had to draw Toriyama eyes. But it looks damn good. The smile, that's not a Toriyama smile. But I love all of this. I love the fact that Boo from the original cover is now replaced by Toribot. So sweet. This is my favorite attempt at Oda drawing Dragon Ball. Bar none. It is really stunning. And you know, It is a shame that it's not an original composition. It's a redraw of the final volume cover, but he nailed it. He nailed it so well that it doesn't really matter that it's just a redraw. So you may be wondering, did Toriyama ever return the favor and draw Luffy? Yeah, he did. Wasn't anything too crazy, and this is something I'll keep talking about with the Toriyama section of this video here. When Toriyama draws other characters, it's usually just kind of, it's sort of out of obligation. Like, it definitely feels like he just got a letter in the mail where it was like, hey, we're doing this thing, draw this character for us. But that's not to say there's no effort put into it at all. I mean, Toriyama, he retired, basically. He was still working, but he wasn't much of an artist in his later years. He just kind of did, he primarily just stuck to character designs. He was far removed from writing manga at that point. So a lot of these that we'll be talking about are very simple, and this Luffy is no exception. It is a really simple illustration. It's just the character, and the eyes, well, those certainly are not Oda eyes. So we have more eye shenanigans happening, but it goes both ways here. So you can see this is an issue that a lot of artists must struggle with, is their own eye style is very hard to detach itself from. But that's not to say there's no effort. There's definitely a clear effort at Oda eyes. It's just, it's not quite there. The thing that makes me immediately think Oda eyes is just the fact that it has sort of the gap on the edges of the eyes. That's very Oda, and just the circular pupils. It's just completely flat, nothing else to it, just pupils, black pupils. But you know, obviously this illustration, eyes aside, which eyes and eyebrows I will also add, very not Oda-esque, but this does evoke One Piece. And that's what's cool about it. Even though this isn't a super intricately detailed piece of art, it still is One Piece, undoubtedly. On the topic of Toriyama, he's also drawn Naruto for an anniversary book. And this is an illustration I actually really love. Again, it's very simple. It's just the character, no color. But man, that looks great. That is how, I mean, it literally is, but that is how Toriyama would draw Naruto. If Naruto were to be a character in, I won't say Dragon Ball, but if he were to be a character in a Toriyama work, that's it. It's so cool. I just love seeing this like alternate universe take on what if Toriyama wrote Naruto. And now you'd probably argue the proportions would be different if he was actually writing this, because this is more like his Toriyama's typical child proportions, even though he's drawing the teenage Naruto here. But I just love it. I love the way the hair looks. I love the clothing. That's one of my personal favorite non-Toriyama works, Toriyama illustrations. It's just a really nice style, and I think he nailed it. Heading on back over to Oda territory, let's still keep talking about Naruto and see Oda's Naruto illustrations. So Oda has drawn Naruto 2 separate occasions, the first of which was this Rock Lee illustration, actually, which I think is really cool. And I love how we have Chopper in the background cosplaying as Rock Lee. That's my favorite thing about it. And I wanted to start by showing you this one, because look at how detailed that is. That is Rock Lee. I mean, damn. Like, it's, you know, it's very clearly Oda drawing him, but that's Rock Lee. There's a effort at matching the style, and you can really tell that because of the shoulder. That's a very like early Naruto, really jagged shoulder, and I just love that. Like, you can tell Oda was looking at reference photos from the early manga to draw that illustration. So sick. Then the next time he would draw Naruto, it was Naruto himself. So this was Oda drawing Naruto, and so what we have here now is a totally stylized, very out there, bizarre take on Naruto. It's sort of like a mythical take on him, almost like a old painting or something. It's really striking. It's just not very, it doesn't read Naruto to me. It reads like just some kind of fantasy tale. Like, it's nothing in particular, I suppose, but it's not to say it's bad. it's just very different. And I suppose in the background that's supposed to be Kurama? Like, I mean, he does have the tails, but the face is not even close. But what is cool about this is almost like this is like seeing Naruto in the One Piece world. Like if he were to be a character in One Piece and he had a devil fruit that was, you know, the QB no Mi or something, it'd be something like this. So, sort of a cool look into an alternate reality again. Speaking of which, Oda, of course, did draw Ichigo from Bleach, the other member of the Big Three, of course. And this is pretty cool. He definitely captured the swag of Bleach, but that's this illustration as a whole. There's a lot of effects here. I don't know if Oda did this himself, the text and background and such. No idea, but he did draw this Ichigo, and it looks really good. The face is how I would imagine Ichigo to look if he was in One Piece. Is it really Ichigo's face? It can be argued, but it does certainly look like an Oda take on Ichigo, 100%. Like, I can still read Ichigo in that face, but it's not how Kubo would do it, obviously. So on that note, let's see Kubo's contributions to this collaboration. So first off, we have Kubo drawing Luffy, and this is a very standard, very simple drawing we have here. This is definitely Luffy. It reads Luffy. I wish it was more expressive, because obviously Luffy is an incredibly expressive character, but that's not to say he never does poses like this and it has more subdued emotions. It definitely happens in the series. But if I were to draw Luffy myself, and it was just like, you know, I'm trying to evoke the character in this one illustration, that is absolutely not at all the pose or attitude I would be trying to use. But that's what Kubo went for, and that's very Kubo of him. He's not one to write characters like Luffy, so it makes sense to do a more subdued take on the character. But I really like it. The proportions are great. Solid work. Face is good. It's not Luffy, but it's a good face. Then we have a cool Naruto illustration he did of Naruto and Orochimaru, which of course he drew Orochimaru. That is a Kubo-ass character. He had to. He just had to. And it's sick. I love the nails. It's obviously not at all what Orochimaru has in the series, but it's something he would have, for sure. And again here, the face on Naruto, it's not Naruto, but it evokes Naruto. And that's all that matters. And this composition as a whole, it's Naruto. You know, like this is very much capturing the vibe and intent of Kishimoto's work on Naruto. So, moving over to Kishimoto himself, here's his take on Luffy, which is absolute perfection. This is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about when talking about Kubo's take on Luffy. This is what I want to see from somebody who has just this one opportunity to draw Luffy and have it, you know, put out there in the world. You want to capture his fun side. This is what it's all about. You know, this is Luffy. He's not really, like, this is how he is most of the time. So you want to capture the side of him that is the most prominent and recognizable. And that's what we have here. He's eating a bunch of meat. He's got drinks in front of him. He's bloated. Like the button on his shirt is being strained. Perfect. This is, I have no notes. I love everything about it. It looks incredible. And on a similar note, Kishimoto's illustration for Bleach. Wow. That's striking. Like, I remember the first time I saw this, I was really blown away. It's such a cool illustration. It's not really like anything in particular. Like, I don't know what scene this would be trying to convey, but it's Bleach. You know, like this evokes Bleach. I keep saying this, but that's what's important. If you're doing an illustration like this, you have to evoke the vibe of the series you're drawing. And Kishimoto has done that exceptionally well. I love it. It's not like a straight illustration of the character. It's a reflection of, you see his arm. That's really the only thing you're physically seeing, but then you're seeing the reflection of him. Perfect. I love it. It's so good. I love Kishimoto as an artist. He is just such a creative artist, and it's amazing. And that continues here because I want to keep talking about Kishimoto. He once did a... Oh, so good. This is one of my favorite Kishimoto illustrations. It's so simple. This probably isn't up there on anybody else's list, but I just love this. Like, it's JoJo, man. Because you have the cool, mysterious, like, Giorno. Like, you know, that's who he is. He's still chilling on the couch. But then you got his wacky stand in the background doing shows. It's just perfect. Like, he just does it, you know? He knows how to capture the series vibe. And on that same note, he once drew Dragon Ball. And now, this is a little weirder because Dragon Ball is a very different art style to Kishimoto. Especially, he chose to draw early Dragon Ball, which is awesome. I love that he did that. But it's very not in his wheelhouse. So, proportionally and facially, these don't really look like the characters, but again, it evokes Dragon Ball. It's that fun spirit of original Dragon Ball. The facial expressions are also not really Toriyama-esque, like that winking smile. Not super Toriyama-esque. I don't really know. I'm sure he has drawn that before, but that's not like what you think of when you think of Goku smiling. And I still think it's really great. It's just not as great as his other attempts at drawing other series. Since we were just talking about Kishimoto drawing JoJo, let's take a look at Oda drawing JoJo. And this is pretty interesting. We have what is definitely supposed to be Jotaro with no effort whatsoever to capture his face. But the effort that was put in is matching the vibe of JoJo. He is doing a weird pose in Oda's style. I love seeing Oda draw a JoJo pose. There's just something about it it feels right. It feels like at home. And I also do appreciate the shading over the eyes. That's pretty Araki-esque. But again, this is a case where it's totally different art styles. So, you know, it's his take on it, even if the face it doesn't read Jotaro in really any capacity. Then we have Toriyama drawing Jotaro, once again. But we also got Iggy here, which is awesome. And it's that same thing. It's kind of chibi style. It's low effort, if you want to call it that. It's just, this is how Toriyama does these things. But I love it. Again, it's not quite like a wacky, zany JoJo pose, especially on Iggy. He's kind of just, he's just standing there. But yeah, great stuff still. And here's one I wanted to point out from Yusuke Murata, who is the artist behind Eyeshield 21 and many others. This is an example of like, damn, dude, you just did it. Like, that's Jotaro. You know, this is like the most effort I've seen so far at just capturing the face, the vibe, the everything. Like, this is JoJo. This was an actual effort to match the art style as well. He's not really putting it into his own style. He's just drawing the character, which is cool in one way. But I do tend to prefer when artists adapt their own style and draw the characters while still capturing the tone. Now, here's two examples that are sort of what I'm talking about, but it might be going too far in one direction. These illustrations are Araki drawing other series. And I want to start off with him drawing Naruto because this is a pretty iconic one. I think most of you watching this have probably already seen this. This is spread around a lot because it's so striking. It's like I mean, you know, it's Araki drawing Naruto, and there's no effort to make this look like the Kishimoto art style. This is just Araki drawing Naruto in a very detailed manner. And I think it's awesome. I really do. I actually love how this looks. I know, and I'm not trying to be like, oh man, I'm the only one that appreciates this. Tons of people like this. It's just, when you first look at it, I think your first reaction is to just laugh because it's absurd. This is just like, it's like handsome Squidward territory. It's so out there and far off from what the original is. It is just funny, but it's awesome. That's why I like it. And on the same note, he's also drawn Dragon Ball before. This was part of that same thing I was talking about earlier, the redrawing all the covers. And this one I think is really cool. It's just a nice illustration. It's obviously in Araki style, but there's definitely more of an effort to sort of match Toriyama's like at least level of detail, I would say. It's kind of hard to put into words. He's simplifying his art style. It's not as detailed as it normally is, like especially with that Naruto illustration. Looks great. And I love that he drew Gohan and Cell. Those are like my boys. Those are two of my favorite characters. I mean, Gohan is my favorite character and Cell is my favorite villain, so it's awesome to see them both drawn by Araki, one of my favorite artists. All right, how about Togashi, the author of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho, one of my favorites, right there. So he has drawn Dragon Ball 2 times, and this first one has always been really interesting to me because this is not Dragon Ball energy whatsoever, but I like it. It's sort of like, now I don't read or know Japanese, but the text is basically, it's saying like, wow, I'm so excited, which is a typical Goku line, but it's reframing it as this sinister thing. This is almost, it's kind of reminiscent of Hisoka, and you can even interpret like that aura as like bungee gum forming, so I don't know, is this supposed to be like Hisoka Goku? I really like it, it's funny, it's just like this reframing of the character, because, you know, in some ways you can say that Hisoka is like Goku, in the sense that he just wants to fight strong opponents, but Hisoka is a little bit... Hisoka has different ways of expressing his love for his hobby. And then we have a really nice one. This was also after Toriyama passed, part of the cover gallery thing. This one's super sweet. This was nearing around the time where Hunter x Hunter came back into serialization recently, like the most recent time. So it was a really nice time for it to come out. It wasn't super long after Toriyama passed either, and he had a really nice message. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the art, and the art is fantastic. I love, this isn't really something we've gotten to a lot yet, but I love when mangaka insert their own characters into the illustration too. So we have Goku and Gon here. Super sweet. I really love this. And that Goku drawing, amazing. Like that, he got the eyes, he got the proportions. It's perfect. The only thing, like the torso, I guess, is a little off, but whatever, what can you do? And then on a similar note, he also drew Naruto in a similar manner. He had Gon in the background. They're both chilling. Great stuff. Again, Togashi, what an artist, what a man. He's just so good at replicating the characters. Like, obviously, that first Goku was more of a joke, but now that you're seeing the previous Goku and this Naruto now, it's them, you know, like you can very easily read Naruto here. It's not how Kishimoto would draw the face, but it's still Naruto's face. Moving on, let's talk about Horikoshi for a minute. I have problems with My Hero. It's not my favorite series in the world, but his art is unbelievable. Starting off with his Goku here, again, it's what I keep talking about. It evokes Dragon Ball. It also, you know, the face again, it's sort of like, you can read that as Deku's face. Like if you cut off the hair, it's like Deku. But he doesn't have the freckles, so that helps. And the hair, it's like a little too not, it should be like bigger. But hey, the Shenlong in the background, top notch. Now, Horikoshi was also part of several art trades, which I really wanted to talk about here, because it's a good way to talk about several artists at once. The first of which being Black Clover, that he did with Tabata, obviously. And he drew the 3 Black Clover characters, being Yuno, Asta, and Noelle. It's very hard to even like point out flaws in Horikoshi's artwork, to be honest. It's just so good. He is an amazing artist. And even whenever his style is also really adaptable. This is something I'm just going to immediately start talking about, the JJK illustration he did here of just, you know, the main 4 characters. That is still Horikoshi's art style to a T. Like that could be just like a panel of My Hero. But at the same time, that's JJK, you know, like it's, his art style it's just really adaptable. Like this, his art style can be used to draw damn near anything and it'll look good. And that's very evident here. And it's, you know, you can also say that he's selling it more because he is, like, all the characters are drawn with their personalities intact, which is so important in things like this. And now moving over to the responses to these art trades from the other side of the coin, we have Tabata drawing My Hero. He did like a whole volume setup here, which is interesting. This isn't quite as good to me. It's, you know, Tabata's art style I really do enjoy, but I haven't seen a lot of him drawing other characters. He drew Hiei at one point for that thing I was talking about earlier with the Shonen Jump cover. That looked really good. But My Hero characters don't really suit his art style because he's more into like fantasy worlds, fantasy characters, you know, medieval type settings, edgier characters. And he decided to draw like, you know, pretty much these are the My Hero characters. These are who comes to mind whenever you first think about My Hero. And I'll say that of these, the best looking one is Shoto. I think that looks pretty good. With the worst being Uraraka. Not great. Next we have Gege drawing the League of Villains from My Hero Academia and a few others in the background. This is another great one. I really love Gege's art style, and I won't say that it's as adaptable as Horikoshi's, but it does really lend itself well to specifically the League of Villains, and I think he knew that, which is why he drew them instead of like Deku and them. Like Deku and them are in the background, and so is All Might. But even from those really low detailed drawings of them, you can tell not very suitable for his art style. So in the foreground, we have the League of Villains, which, I mean, Dabi and Shigaraki could both just be JJK characters. They would fit in so well. I wouldn't even like bat an eye. And obviously all the characters' personalities are intact, even the little ones in the background. Perfect, great job, love this one. Now rounding off the video, I kind of just want to talk about some One Piece specific ones for a little bit, and also another art trade involving Horikoshi, except this art trade was about 20 or so years in the making. So this is a very notorious story, I'm sure you know about it, but it's a story I really like. So Horikoshi submitted fan art a very long time ago. I don't know offhand how many years it was, but probably around 20, something like that. But he submitted fan art of Smoker to the Usopp's art gallery for, you know, the volume release of One Piece. Then years later, when My Hero Academia ends, you know, we got Oda and Horikoshi both in the same magazine. They develop a relationship. My Hero ends, and Oda, in response to My Hero ending, redraws that fan art that he got sent in by Horikoshi and changes the One Piece text of the original illustration to say Hero Aka. So cool. I love this. I had a huge smile on my face whenever this first happened. Just what a cool tribute, and obviously, you know, this happened alongside the final chapter of My Hero releasing in the magazine. Very, very, very. And now I just kind of want to take a look at 3 other illustrations that I picked out here that were interesting to me. First, we have Inoue, author and mangaka of Slam Dunk and many more, I'm sure you're aware, drawing Luffy. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because, one, this is a beautiful illustration. It's just great. I mean, Inoue's art is just phenomenal. But, and this is something that I'm genuinely asking, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Does this evoke Luffy? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. To me, it reads more as Ace. And that's interesting. I mean, they are brothers. They're not blood brothers, but they are brothers. It's just kind of, it's a very neutral expression. And that's obviously something that Luffy does, but it's just, he's too, like, beautiful. You know, this is like a stunning guy. And Luffy's not that at all. He's a goofball. He's like a kid at heart. This is like a man. So it's interesting. It's a really great piece, but there's really nothing One Piece about it. It just kind of looks like some cool guy in Luffy cosplay. Now, on a similar but also unsimilar note, we have Hideaki Sorachi from Gintama fame drawing Usopp. Perfect. Absolutely phenomenal. This is how you do it. For a gag mangaka, You can't do any better than that. That's just so funny. I love this a lot. It's like, it's serious looking, but then it's also a huge joke because of the nose. And it's also funny how the nose has like no shading either, even though the rest of the drawing does. Incredible. I love it. This is just, it's amazing. And then lastly here, the last individual piece I want to talk about is Keisuke Itagaki from Baki fame. I'm sure you're aware of Baki. Drew several One Piece characters about the way you would expect Itagaki to draw them. It's just, wow. It's truly something. I have a hard time even finding the words to describe this illustration. It's magnificent. You don't get better than that. This is a perfect example of the artist adapting their style, but doing nothing else. There's no effort to capture any of the Straw Hats' personalities. I guess the closest might be Usopp. Uh, yeah. So that's what I wanted to end on. And now, to close off real quick, since they were right behind me on my shelf, I wanted to talk about these for a sec. These are entire manga that are, they're One Piece, obviously, drawn by other mangaka. This is the Ace story, illustrated by Boichi, who did Dr. Stone and others. What else has he done? I don't know. This is the only thing that's coming to mind. I have many qualms with Boichi's art style. I'm sure on screen you're probably seeing something. He is hyper detailed, whereas Oda is very low detail most of the time. So it's a clash of art style, and you know, some people will look at this and be like, oh hell yeah, finally One Piece and high detail. But that is, to me, that kind of, it takes away the One Piece nature, and it becomes something else. But on the other hand, we have Shokugeki no Sanji, of course by the Food Wars duo, Yuta Tsukuda and Shunseki. This is a much better adaptation of the One Piece vibe while still having the art style of the source material. Well, not source material because that's One Piece, but the Food Wars. Because it's very much Food Wars art. There's really not much One Piece art style adaptation happening, but what there is One Piece vibe adaptation. And as I've been saying this whole video, that is what matters. As long as the artist captures that vibe of the series that they're trying to draw, they've succeeded in my opinion. But then you have examples like the Araki one we looked at, where it's totally out there, or even the Baki one, totally out there. It's their own style. They're in their own heads. They're not even thinking about trying to adapt any part of anything. I love those too, just as equally. I think the ones that I'm not too crazy about are the ones that kind of just land in the middle, where they're not really trying anything. So in conclusion, I think this phenomenon of mangaka drawing other manga characters and, you know, paying tribute to other mangaka is really interesting and a fun experiment anytime it comes up. I look forward to seeing this happen with newer artists as series become more popular. I think, you know, currently what comes to mind is like Akane Banashi and Ichi the Witch. I'd love to see their takes on other series characters, so maybe someday we'll get another one of those jump covers that lets, you know, an anniversary cover where it's, you know, a modern character with an older character. I'd love to see something like that again. But in the meantime, we kind of just have to wait for new art books or celebration anniversary books to come out to see more stuff like this. But anytime something like this does happen, I definitely got my eyes glued all over it. And I hope after watching this video, you'll keep an eye out for it too. And maybe just put some more thought into what makes one work and what makes others not work. And think back to the one that started off this whole video. And tell me, did that one work? How did it make you feel? Anyway, that's all I got for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and make sure to let me know in the comments what your favorite illustrations talked about in this video were, and also just your favorite illustrations that I didn't cover in this video. I'd love to know about more that I didn't cover here, and you know, maybe just ones that I know about but didn't cover that you really like. Let me know, and maybe I'll do a follow-up on this someday. All right, until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.